talk about listing your home, there are a certain number of steps in a certain order that you need to go through, sir. What would those be?
Good morning. Basically, a market analysis is kind of the starting point, and that's kind of not the full-on picture, but that's where you start. I want to talk a little bit about what a market analysis is and what it isn't.
Okay.
So basically, a CMA, which you often hear realtors describe it as, is similar to an appraisal. Is you're looking at comparables, and kind of the main functionality of a CMA is square footage,
Okay.
room counts, bedroom, bathrooms, etc., location, so proximity to your home that you're listing,
Okay.
in a macro setting. So basically, a 4 or 5 mile radius. It varies, but typically in the municipality.
Okay.
But that's just not, when we're listing a home, that's what I refer to as the starting point. That's not the end all be all. So it's important to understand that that's the basis for the initiation of a conversation.
Gotcha.
Of a value. Because
Yep.
there are so many other things that actually impact the value, the saleability, and the marketability of your home,
Okay.
other than square footage, bedroom, bathroom counts, and that sort of thing.
Well, I really like this note here because it's in bold caps and it's underlined and there's exclamation
Yes.
marks. What actually affects value? Layout.
I think layout is probably, if you had to ask me, the single most important thing on what buyers appeal to buyers and what help make the buying decision is layout.
Okay.
And that affects, family of 4. Do they want kids on the same bedrooms on the same floor, just the flow of the kitchen into the living room, all of that, versus a dysfunctional layout, which can be just more traditional, outdated. And again, there's various degrees of that, but I will tell you, when you're valuing a property just based on square footage and bedroom bathroom counts, you're
Sure.
not accounting for the biggest factor, in my opinion, that a buyer is drawn to your home.
Well, you can see it. There's a million floors, little boxy rooms. Oh my gosh, this is not the house for me. On the other hand, when you walk into the one that is, you see it, you know it right away.
Absolutely. And just to go one step further with that, you mentioned like smaller, boxier rooms. It's all relative to the same style, age, and price point of the home. So
Right.
when you're looking at something, especially something within the last 20 years, layout can be noticeable if it's not ideal. But there's other things that factor in that don't show up in a CMA. Amenities, updatings, curb appeal.
Yeah.
I mean, the front layout, curb appeal when you're walking up, that's not accounted for in an appraisal and a CMA, but that has a huge impact on
sure.
the emotional, because at the end of the day, buying a house is an emotional decision.
Mm-hmm.
So those are sort of the things that affect that purchase decision.
I had always heard that when it comes to real estate, it's location, 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 or it could be location.
Correct. So again, a CMA is going to say what are the most recent home sales in a few mile radius. But I will tell you, when you're actually determining a value, lot location, if it has
Yeah.
no backyard neighbors, wooded lot,
Sure.
if it's one of the more ideal lots in a specific ideal desirable neighborhood, that's going to draw buyers, or they're going to be more excited about that particular location.
It's interesting because you started talking about macro, but now we're talking about micro, the actual property.
So when I talk about macro locations, so let's just say Sauk Rapids. If I'm listing a home in Sauk Rapids, you're looking at all homes of similar age, style in all of Sauk Rapids. However, there are more desirable, like any city, locations, neighborhoods in a given municipality. And then within that neighborhood, there might be a home with a pond view or wooded lot,
Sure.
no backyard neighbors, that's going to be more desirable. A cul-de-sac versus a busy road is a great
big time.
example of
Yeah.
that, right? So there's things like that. That's the micro of a location example.
Are people still looking for, close proximity to schools and churches and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's always, again, that's a buyer-specific convenience factor to shopping. If they commute, location to easy access to the freeways.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own, what's important to them, but absolutely location to those amenities are important.
And people are different. Some people want a fixer-upper. Some people want a brand new turnkey kind of home, right? It's all about condition too.
Absolutely. So condition, upkeep, maintenance, there's just a huge difference of a feel when you walk into a home and you can just see that it's got newer mechanicals, or you go to the mechanicals and you see the service sticker and it's updated every 6 months. And so updated windows, roof, all of that makes a buyer feel more comfortable. And so that has a factor. And again, those are not things that are typically factored in a CMA or an appraisal. But what's important is these are what leads to the conversation when we're sitting down with you to decide a value on your home.
Yeah.
And
how do I know?
Exactly. And so you start with the CMA, but then it's a conversation on what else of everything we just discussed. And one thing I want to stress is a realtor should not decide the price to list your home on. Our job at VoigtJohnson, we kind of have the philosophy is our job is to give our opinion.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it's just that. It's an opinion. You decide to what price. Now, if someone says to me, I think the home's $300,000 and they want to list at $500-600, I might say, hey,
exactly right.
But at the end of the day, I just want to stress it's your home. You determine the price.
Right.
Our job is to give you our recommendation. And my mindset when I'm going into a market analysis listing someone's home is what is the highest price we can list for that will still create a feeling of competition among the buyers. So the way, in my opinion, you maximize your price is you have a competitive feeling amongst your buyer pool.
Right.
So I'm trying to decide, and it's not an exact science,
right,
what is the highest list price that you can list for that will still create a feeling of competition amongst the buyer pool. That at the end of the day is the secret sauce.
I was just going to say, that's where the magic happens.
Yes.
All right, let's be magical. Let's reach out to VoigtJohnson Real Estate. What's the best way?
VoigtJohnson.com or 320-774-2400.
Brendan Johnson, thank you.
Thank you, sir.